I'm so cautious that I don't want this video and this chat to be about me and people hearing my story, but I need to share my experience so that we can get to a point of knowing and understanding that you'll never see this coming. It'll come right out of left field, take your whole life and turn it upside down, and that's what happened. In March of this year, 24th of March to be exact, we were at home to Beath. It was a Friday night, typical game in our league. We get beat 1-0. Headed home that night to my partner Stacey, who was 9 months pregnant at the time. So as you can imagine, like, really exciting time for whole family, everybody hanging on every phone call. Everybody really on edge. Stacey was obviously feeling a type of way as well that things were happening. Chilling out that night at home and got a phone call at 11:39 that night for the police saying that they had to send 2 cops up to my door. Obviously that never ever sounds good. At 11:51 that night on the 24th of March, 2 cops came into my living room and told me that my dad had died, and he had died by completing suicide. My dad was a 50-year-old man, very well respected in his line of work, was sought after all over the country for his work, loved coming to watch us playing football, loved our level of football, and any time you speak to anybody in weeks and months after, was incredibly excited about being a granda for the first time. Just still don't at this time have the words to describe how I felt at that exact moment. Just a surreal time, kind of a moment of you didn't actually believe what was happening. I think cops left my house maybe about 4:30 in the morning. So that was that night. Obviously had to make a couple of phone calls, phone my mum I think about 3 in the morning to tell her. She obviously thought Stacey was in labour, so obviously a completely different type of phone call. Spent the Saturday going to break the news to my dad's brothers and his sister, and then spent the Sunday going through to formally identify my dad with Stacey's hospital bags in the back seat of the car, because she was obviously feeling a type of way. Our first baby was due 2 days later. So that was kind of the immediate timelines, mate. The initial period was obviously after the kind of 3-4 worst days of your life. I had a bit of a moment during it was the Tuesday. It was actually Jude's due date, and it was me and Stacey had a bit of downtime in the house, and it was the first kind of time the house was a bit quiet. Scotland were playing Spain, was on the TV, and I remember at that time the sorest, worst imaginable pain that I could ever felt. Only lasted about 10 minutes, and I was heartbroken, totally and utterly heartbroken, mate. But after that, I kind of woke up the next day and I had a bit of moment of clarity where I was like, I feel like the unluckiest person in the world now, but I know in a minute I'm going to be the luckiest person in the world, which in due course that's what happened. 9 days later, Jude was born, and it was obviously the best day of my life, and that's the only kind of time where I get a bit heavy with the situation, still is when I think about Jude, and obviously the questions and the conversations I'm going to have with him when he gets older. But no, obviously you go right into being a dad, and there's probably books on bereavement and losing a parent, there's probably books on becoming a new dad, there's not a book to tell you how to do it at the same time. So we winged it, totally winged it. It's been a long 5 months, but again, through my support network and family and home life and things like that, it's been a manageable 5 months because of what I've got about me. A lot of people will obviously see it as that's one of your lesser priorities and that, but for what I was going through at the time, football was a massive part of it. This changing room, this club was just a massive part of getting me through that. The gaffer was one of the first people I'd spoke to. I spoke to him the day after it happened. And obviously news filtered down, teammates and things like that. I got a message for every single one of them. Obviously didn't feel compelled to answer, but I knew that they were all here for me. Spent a period of time obviously trying to move on and get back to normal, and then obviously Jude was born. Came home for the hospital on the Friday with Jude, a brand new family. Stacey obviously exhausted, and we had a semi-final against St Roch's the next day, and Stacey told me I had to go. She knew I had to be with this lot in here, and went and we done what we done. But that was just a massive part of it. But again, for context, and so this is not about me, like, football and my support network isn't just mine. It's our bubble of the west coast of Scotland, and this mad wee bubble of full-time football, part-time football, Sunday league, Saturday morning amateur, whatever it is. Like, everybody's got that element of a support network. And ultimately as well, I don't think, and I didn't want this video to be about the person that's struggling, and people out there who are struggling. I think we need to look a wee bit more at ourselves. We have all these amazing charities and awareness weeks of it's okay not to be okay and please speak out and things like that, which is all absolutely true, but sometimes I think we put too much onus on the person who is struggling. It's not everybody's makeup to come out and tell people how they're feeling and lay it all out on the table so that they can go and get help. Some people need that wee kind of, whether it be a push or just a wee moment of maybe I'm needing a wee bit of help, and that's when selfishly, and I use that word strongly, selfishly, since my experience with my dad, I've properly started to look at things, and I've looked at numbers and I've looked at statistics, and it's happening to us. It's happening to young men under 50, west coast of Scotland, in our bubble of football, and I think myself, we're not using it well enough. Mate, we are so lucky that 3 times a week, 10 months of the year, 24/7 if you include WhatsApps, that we've got access to each other. And I get that it doesn't come easy to people asking somebody, how are you mate, or what's happening, but trust me, it's, for however uncomfortable you might feel, it's so much better than the alternative, and the alternative is what it leaves behind is grief, a soreness, heartbreak. It's so hard to describe what it leaves behind if we just make small changes. And listen, I'm not saying that if you ask somebody how they are, they're immediately going to come out and tell you how they're feeling, but they might go home that night and they might be like, do you know what, I could maybe do with a chat with somebody. And that's when we can signpost them to so many amazing charities, and I know you're going to tag them, Breathing Space Scotland, and I think Back On Side is one that the Gaffer and Gaz work with. There's a charity in my local area of Inverclyde called Man on Inverclyde, who a very good friend of mine works with, and I know the work that they do, and it's honestly unbelievable, mate. I just think that we can use a fit with team changing room, whether you're jogging room for a warm-up and somebody might have lost their job, or somebody's had a new kid, or asking somebody how was their weekend, or how you getting on finding work. I just think there's so many wee bits that we could make a change with. And I'm going on a wee bit, but I'm not saying it's going to work. I could have asked my dad a million times a day, how are you, Dad? And he'd be like, I'm fine, son, how are you? How was training? How's the boys feeling for the weekend? How's Stacey? Like, it would never have ever came, but I'm at the process of how much did I really ask? That's something I'm going to deal with in my own time, that I'll continue to ask myself that question, did I ask enough? And that's why, selfishly, since my dad, I've started to ask people, work colleagues, teammates, maybe without them knowing, like, how are you, what's happening? Asking somebody what's happening in the west coast of Scotland is the biggest open question I think we've got, do you know what I mean? That can lead to so many different conversations. And I'm listening, because I'm definitely not an expert on this subject, do you know what I mean? I don't think anybody is. That's why we keep finding ourselves back in these situations. I just think if we can all try that wee bit, ask a question, check in with your pals, do you know what I mean, whether it's a WhatsApp message, whether it's getting warmed up or whatever, boys have got car schools and things like that, just have a chat, man, do you know what I mean. My experience has happened, I can't change my experience now, but if this prompts somebody to go and have a beer with their pal at the weekend, or text their pal, or catch up with somebody they've no seen for a while, then I'd see that as a wee bit of excess. And it's something that is very much in my thoughts now, that I would like to start making some wee changes if I can. Right now I don't know what that looks like, but it's something that's very much in my thoughts of, can we do a wee bit more for each other, for people who are struggling, and stop putting the onus on them. Probably just the last thing is, and this is from a selfish point of view, is thanking people, and that's obviously starting with my home life, my partner Stacey, and her family, my own family, and my pals, work colleagues in this club, from Grace to the gaffer, to my teammates, yourself, guys like Stevie Dugan, people checking in. Some of the messages I got for fans, that I'll obviously not embarrass any of them and tell them what they said, but they're messages that I will keep forever, because I feel that some messages were like, we obviously play football and we go out and we do whatever we do out there, and I'm like, fans, do they actually genuinely know you? But they must, because they care enough to send you a message, and some of the messages were quite deep, and I read every one of them. Didn't get back to them all, but I appreciated every one of them, and I just think that, and I know there will be people that will end up in the same situation as me, but if we can just try and bring the number down a bit at a time, then I'll probably see we've made a wee bit of a difference, mate.